Hello guys, welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be doing mixed girl tag. So first off, what am I mixed with? So on my mom's side, I am Chinese Malaysian to be exact. My mom's side of the family comes from Fujian province in China, and my dad is American, but he's mostly Scandinavian, Swedish, Norwegian, perhaps some Finnish in there as well, and then a lot of other things like Russian, German, English, Irish, Scottish. We were just really mixed all around on that side of my family. What ethnicity have I often been mistaken for? I would say that a lot of people just assume that I'm white. Some people from afar may be able to tell that I'm Asian, but when I come up closer they're a bit more confused. I don't know, I did tell one girl that I was half Chinese and she was surprised, and she said that she thought I could be half Russian, but she wouldn't have imagined that I was part Asian or anything like that. Once several people thought I was Korean, although the context was very important because I was helping out at a Korean festival. So I had like 10 people come up to me and ask me if I was Korean, but I was kind of surprised because it's like I don't really look Korean, but I guess maybe they thought I looked part Asian, and so therefore it would make sense for me to be part Korean as well. But I feel like most people are just interested in the fact that I do have very Caucasian coloring and like brown hair and very pale skin, but that I am half Chinese. I don't think that most people think I'm weird because of that, they just are interested. Is your hair curly or straight? So my hair is pretty much straight, but it gets frizzy often and it tends to have natural waves, but it really depends on the weather, the humidity level, and stuff like that. Was coming from different backgrounds challenging for me? Well, I wouldn't say challenging, like I always embraced being mixed. It's always something I've been proud of, but I have had some challenges, like, well, what I said before about not being recognized for being part Asian. On one hand, people may think it's cool, kind of like it's a secret of mine that I can bring up whenever I want, and people are like very interested when I bring up that fact. But on the other hand, it's kind of sad to not be fully recognized for my heritage as well. So like if I walked into an Asian grocery store without my mom or my other Asian relatives, I don't think most people would recognize that I was part Asian. They just think that I was some random white girl. Also, most people, like most Asians, specifically Chinese people, like if I walk up to them and start speaking Chinese, they're very shocked, even if I have told them before that I'm half Chinese, and they're like, wait, I didn't know you were half Chinese. The thing is though, is that I did tell them before, and I don't know, maybe they didn't understand it when I told them, or they just still can't believe it, but that's something that has happened to me several times in the past. There are always going to be people who are going to say that you're not one of them. So like if you're around a full Chinese person, they may not accept you for being part Asian, or Asian in general, because you're not full, but also because of the way you look. Like in my case, as I've already stated, I look very European for the most part, so it's easier for me to get undermined than a more Asian looking mixed race person. And then when white people find out, most of them do accept me because of the way I look, but then others will constantly bring up the fact that you're Asian, to the point where you're almost assuming that they want to put you in a little box. To be honest though, I don't really mind when people find out that when non-Asian people find out that I'm Asian and they just assume that I'm Asian and like that I identify more with my Asian side, because there is that strong immigrant presence in my family. So to a degree, yes, my Asian side has had a more profound impact on me, but also because when I'm around full Asians, most of them don't see me as being Asian, so when non-Asians see me as being Asian, it kind of makes up for that fact. Yet another thing, I moved around a lot as a kid, so I have lived in places that were very diverse, and I've also lived in places that really were quite homogenous. And that wasn't so much a problem for me when I was really young because I could blend in well with whatever group of people, but once I got older, like in my younger teens, I really started feeling that I was different from other people. Like, we moved to a town that has mostly white people, which, isn't a problem, but it was during a time where I was really starting to explore my Asian side a bit more, and I recognized the need for there to be outlets for me to get to know more Asian people. It's easy when you're young to think of yourself as an anomaly. Even though I have had to struggle with misconceptions about me, I'd say that in a way it is kind of worth it to have gone through that because it makes me more considerate of other people's feelings and the way I talk to them about their social and ethnic backgrounds. Which background do I embrace the most? I would say that it really is a mixture because when I was younger, just based on the fact that I looked more white or people thought that I looked more white, I automatically identified myself with aspects of white culture, so to speak. So, for example, I would always watch American movies or European movies and read British novels and things like that. Even though I was proud of being Chinese, I felt like it wasn't something I could completely identify with, so I didn't pursue it for a long time. Even though I was learning Chinese, I still kind of felt like I couldn't appreciate it to the same degree as I could my white side, based on my appearance alone. I love going to Asia and I love the food, and it's just something that I'm really proud of, even though I know that on the outside, looking in, it just looks like some random white American girl who's really into like Taiwanese dramas or K-pop or like learning different facts about Asian countries. But for me, this is the way that I connect to my identity, and becoming more knowledgeable in it is important to me, especially because I don't look Asian. Well, I do, but most people won't see that because they haven't seen my face and my mom's, and we look very much alike. So learning a lot about Asian culture for me is a way to recover that side of my identity that to a degree has been lost. That being said, I love both sides of my family, so I'm not ashamed of either side. The next question is, have you ever been ashamed of being multiracial? Which kind of connects to the last question. No, I wouldn't say I have. It's always, as I've said before, something that I've been very proud of because I've been able to connect with so many people from different cultural backgrounds, not just European or just Chinese. But I will say that in the past, like, for example, when I'm with, not so much when I'm with Asian friends, because most of my Asian friends are very accepting of my mixed race identity, but there have been times in the past, like for example, when I was a lot younger, and this girl came up to me and was like, oh, but you're not really Chinese, so you can't talk to this Chinese girl. And the girl who told me that was Chinese herself. So I didn't really think too much of it at the time, but as I got older, I was like, that's actually a really mean thing to say to someone who you don't even know. And yeah, so it's not something that I was ashamed of per se. It's just I recognize that there's always this struggle to prove myself to people, and that really shouldn't be a part of who I am, like constantly proving my cultural background to people, but sometimes it is, especially when they question you up front like that or undermine it, even in more subtle ways. That would be the harder part of being mixed race, and I've noticed this with a lot of other mixed race people, not just half Chinese ones. They're always in a constant, most of them, maybe not most, many of them are constantly trying to like create a balance between other people's perceptions of themselves and their own perception of themselves, because the outside world is always telling them which side they should identify with, or actually both sides are telling them, oh, you're not really one of us. So I feel like that's a common theme for mixed race people, and that's why it's easy to be ashamed of being mixed race, but I successfully haven't fallen into that trap yet. Do I have any advice for someone who's struggling with their mixed race identity? I would say, just become very knowledgeable on both sides of your culture if you're aware of what your background is, and just be willing to get to know lots of different people and talk about your experiences. And if anyone tries to undermine your identity, don't let them. Be firm in your conviction, I guess, to be proud of your identity. Don't be rude about it when someone confronts you, unless they're being incredibly rude. But just be proud of who you are. I know that's really cliche to say, but the more people see that you're accepting of both sides of your cultures, the more they recognize that they can't mess with you. Don't let anyone say that because you're mixed race, you have problems, that you're less than, because you're not. You're a full human being, and you're very special. Not more special than other humans, but you're a unique person, and you deserve to be as proud of your cultural identity as anyone else is. And my last question is, what makes being multiracial a beautiful thing? There are just so many great things about being mixed. Like, you can get to know all sorts of different people. You can be more open-minded. Like, being mixed race doesn't make you more open-minded, but if you recognize that people are going through if not the exact same, but very similar struggles as you are, then you'll be kinder to people, and you'll be more willing to broaden your cultural horizons. And on top of that, it's just, I feel like whenever I go to another country, specifically Malaysia, people always stare at me and stuff, and I don't really see that as a plus per se, because that's just attention, and being mixed race doesn't mean you should be craving attention from other people. But I would say that because you're different from everyone else, if you go to be among a group of people who you're completely different from, they're going to learn to ask questions, and your very existence provokes people to be more accepting. Thanks for watching my video, guys. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up and/or subscribe.